Welcome to Blonde Cards and Crafts. Let's make something together. Hello crafters, welcome to my channel if you're new here. Welcome back if you're a subscriber. Today we're going to make a fun card using some nesting dies that we have in our stash. I'm going to be using the Love from Lizi August Super Kit and it's called Live, Love, Laugh. Now, just to let you know, in the description down below, if you click on that more button, you'll find links to the kit subscription. You'll find links to the products used, to our Facebook groups, Lizi's Love from Lizi Facebook group, my Facebook group called Your Cards and Crafts, and to the other design team members, Kristie and Alina. So there's lots of information as well as card measurements. I'm using a die with this, so it just depends on what you have in your stash, but you can use the overall design going with a standard A2 card or 5x7 card or 6x6 card. You can use the design layout and do it in whatever card style you like. So that's it. Let's have a look now at what we're going to be using, what we'll need for this. So the first thing I have here is a card base. This is a 6x6 card base. My die is a little under 6x6. It's about 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. And with the card base, what I want to do is, this is the top, the folded side of our card base. I want to ensure that I keep that. So you can see we have an edge to our die here. I want to have that so that the edge of my die peeks over the top. So I'll center it on my card base. I'll flip it over so that I can see the cut edge peeking over the top of my card base. I'll put that through my machine and that'll give me a working card base then to use. So I'll put that off to the side and we'll do all our die cutting together. I have the next size down in this die in the nested set, and I have 2 pieces of yellow cardstock. I want one for inside my card base and this one will go on the outside. So my nested die here, I'll pop that on there and I will die cut out 2 of those. Next I have about, it's not the next size down, but down from that again, I have a die and I've got a piece of pattern paper and a piece of white cardstock. I want to die cut my shape out of my pattern paper, and then again I want to die cut my shape out in my white cardstock. So that means we'll have inside our card base, we'll have a yellow shape and we'll have a white shape. And the white shape is so we can stamp a message and or a sentiment and write a message then to the recipient. So that's those. And then I have these 2 dies as well. And what I have is another piece of yellow cardstock, and I may not have mentioned it, this is from my stash. I'm going to die cut that out in the larger one, and then my smallest one that I'm using here, I'll die cut out this. Now this panel, we got a sheet with these panels on them. It's a 12 by 12 sheet, and you can see there's the pattern paper on the back. I'm using one from that. You can see it there, this panel here. I'm going to die cut that out and then layer it on top. I want a bit of dimension when I have the yellow and my pattern piece. I want a bit of dimension on top of this piece. So I have this very cool mechanism, who I think was designed by Sam from Mixed Up Crafts, but it could have been designed by someone else. But it was on her channel that I saw this. It's a really cool pop-up mechanism. So for this mechanism, you need a piece of cardstock, and my piece measures 3 3/4 by 1.5. And I have scored it then at 1/4, at 1/2, 3/4, and then at 2, 2 1/4, and 2 1/2. And you just fold it concertina style, like this. So you have it like a W, and again this, so it looked like that. And then you just use this little piece here as your little lip. Now, if you burnish this, as in if you take your scoring tool and burnish the creases, it won't pop up as much as it will here. So I want a good bit of dimension. Now you could use foam tape. The thing about foam tape is, however wide, if your foam tape is thicker than this piece here, then, you know, this is how flat this will fold down in your card. So if you're in a country where dimension is costly, then, you know, this at least helps to keep things a lot flatter. But when it pops up, look at all the dimension you're going to get there. And then I have one of the Love from Lizi beautiful foiled sentiment panels. It comes with a little piece of foam tape on it. I generally take this off and I add my own foam tape on it. Or you can have it with no foam on it. But these really do peel off the back really, really easily. So depending on what you'd want to do, I'm going to have a lot of dimension from my mechanism. So I don't want to have any foam on the back of this. I'm going to just stick this onto my panel and then that'll be stuck on this. So that's all our pieces and all our parts. What I need to do now is bring all my pieces over to my die machine and die cut them all out. And I don't think you really need to see me doing that. So I'm going to shufty off with this, press pause on the video, and I'll be back shortly with them all cut out. So I have all my pieces die cut out, including my card base. So I'll just very carefully take that away and take that off there. And you can see now we have our card base. So I have my piece at the top that I left there, and then we have our opening. Now this cardstock I'm using, it's about 260, so it's not very strong, but we're going to have our mats and layers. So I have my two pieces that I die cut out here. We just need to glue those together. They'll go on the front like so, and then I have the two pieces here. These will go inside, but we do need to put a sentiment on our white piece. And then these two will get layered up here. We'll put our little mechanism there so this can pop up. And then we'll have our With Love over the front that can sit like that. So you can either pop them down flat or you can use a bit of dimension. And personally, I'm going to put some more foam tape on this because I'm quite happy to have the dimension. I think this would make a nice card that could go in a box. And I know some of you have been asking me to do box tutorials, so I will get to that, I promise. So keep an eye here. When I make videos, check the links. I'll add them in down below when I get around to it. So this is all the pieces. We just need to glue everything down. Before I do that, I'm going to stamp my sentiment on my piece inside, and to do that I'm going to use my stamping platform because Murphy's Law, it wouldn't stamp right first time, and I want to make sure I do a nice job of this. So I'm going to pop my cardstock in here. This stamping platform, the edges are all, you know, you can just slide over them. There's a ruler on this side, which is very handy. I took a piece of acetate and I added it on over my ruler piece. It means that my cardstock, it has somewhere to stop against. So I know every time, you know, I can pop a piece in and I can use that as my stopper. But if the piece is bigger and it needs to go out over, it can still go over because it's a light piece of acetate I've put there. So if you have a stamping platform and you want to have an edge, a piece of acetate is always handy. So I have that there. I have my stamp inside and ready to go. The stamp I'm using is a Card Making Magic stamp set, and it's this one here. I hope you're feeling better, sending healing thoughts and extra hugs your way with the hope they bring some cheer to your day. Now I would normally use a Love from Lizi sentiment if I had one, but I didn't have a Get Well sentiment as such, so I went into my stash for that. But Lizi is constantly adding to the website with all different products, so do keep an eye there. So the only thing I need to decide on is what color palette I'm going to pick up. Now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat emboss my sentiment on here, because we have gold in our lovely sentiment panel that we got in the kit. So I'm going to pick that up here. In order to do that, I always recommend that you take your embossing buddy or your embossing bag, whichever one you have, and definitely add some. And I like to add it to my fingers as well, because we have natural oils on our fingers and our hands, and the embossing powder will stick to any kind of residue or anything sticky on our card base. So I have that done now. I need to get my ink. I like to use the Versamark ink. This is the one that I use. There are lots of different ones on the market. So I'm going to go over my stamp with this and press down. And you should have a good idea. You know, you can usually see what's on there, and I just need to make sure. Yeah, it is. I had a horrible thought there for a minute. I have the stamp on upside down, but I don't. Wouldn't that? That would be so funny. So yeah, make sure your stamp is in the right position and you're happy with it. It's the right way up and everything. And then I'm going to give it a second pressing, and I'm just going to very gently go over each line of text. And now I can take my embossing powder. I like to take a sheet of computer paper and put that down. So I'll pop that there, pop my thing on over. I have some Love from Lizi gold embossing powder. This is Golden Crown embossing powder. Lizi does a great selection of embossing powders on the website. So we'll pop some of that on. Let's have a look. I like to give it a minute just, you know, to sit over the ink to catch. And that came out beautifully. I have to say that about Lizi's embossing powders. They're really fine. So they really do catch nicely there. So I'm delighted with that. I'm going to move this out of the way. I shall funnel that back into my pot shortly. I'm going to heat up my heat gun and go over this. And I'm going to turn the volume off for that, because these can be quite noisy. So now that came out beautifully. I hope you can see it there. And you'll know when your embossing powder is all been heated up, because it looks very dull and sandy. But when you add your heat to it, it all becomes really shiny. So I'm delighted with that. Next thing I want to do now is glue down all my mats and layers together and then add them into our card. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and play a little bit of music for you. So now I'm just going to add my central panel on here, and again I've used some liquid glue so I can get it centered. That looks about right to me. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Add a little bit of pressure. Now you can always come from underneath and add a little bit of pressure to our mechanism under there. But once you give it a minute, that will be perfectly stuck down. So I'll just add my little glue pins back into my bottles because I don't want those drying up. The collal glue takes ages, but if you're using your you know, your cosmic shimmer or anything like that, a glue pin, really, I try and put them straight back in once I'm done using them because they can dry up. They get snotty is what I like to call it. So there we are, we have our card done. Now we're going to embellish it, and I'm definitely going to pull out the little gems and put some gems on it. We've got some bows as well, so we could add a little bow on here or even on here. I don't think that color is quite right, or that color. I kind of like the simplicity of it the way it is, and I'm sure there's many of you shouting at me, no Simone, don't do it, don't add any bows. I'm not going to. You'll be delighted to know. And I like how this will fold more or less flat down to go in a card. So let's go ahead, add a little bit of liquid glue to our card where we want to. So I'm going to put a little gem here at the love, and then I want to add maybe 3 gems there and 2 gems there. That'll give us 6. So we might add another little one there, 7, because I like to do things in odd numbers. So it tends to be more pleasing to the eye when you do things in odd numbers rather than even numbers like this. So I'm going to use some of these gems. I haven't used them yet. I'm going to take a teeny one out and pop it there. Then I'm going to take a large one and pop a large one there. I'll put a medium one and then a small one, and I'm going to do a large one here. Pop a large one there. I'll do a medium one beside it. Actually, I might do the medium one here because we have the small one beside the love. So we'll just pop that one down there, and then I can do a small one over here. Lovely. And I think I'll add a small one to the inside because you won't even that won't make much difference to our card, because we have lots of dimension there. So I'm going to add one there, and I'm going to add one here at the start and finish of our sentiment. Lovely. And there we go. There is card number 9, our hexagon nested card, and it's a top opening card. It does sit lovely because we've got lots of mats and layers on our card. It does really sit nicely. So we have our simple foiled topper on there with love. It'll pop up when it comes out of the card. You can see there it has a little bit of springy dimension to it. It is very pleasing and I love that. So with love and lots of flowers, because they don't encourage us to bring flowers now if you were going into hospital or to someone who isn't well. So we've got flowers on our card, and we have, I hope you're feeling better, sending healing thoughts and extra hugs your way with the hope they bring some cheer to your day. And I thought that sentiment was really, really lovely. So that is card 9. I hope you've enjoyed my video. If you have, give it a thumbs up, press the subscribe button and ding the bell. Please, it will help my channel to grow. It shows the YouTube algorithm that you're interested, and it'll share my cards with more people out there in the Ethernet that's out there. So all the links are down below in the description for the subscriptions, the other design team members, and of course to the Facebook groups. For Lizi, it's Facebook's Love from Lizi group, and my group is Your Cards and Crafts. You can find me on Blonde Cards and Crafts across social media. I'm going to leave it there, folks. We have one more card to do using this August super kit, and I hope you'll join me. And until then, we will see you again soon. Thanks for watching, folks, and bye for now. Bye bye.